Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 coming from my secret base in the mountains. Yes, I have a secret base in the mountains. Got a couple little stories about that, and just before starting this episode here, I record these right now as being live, at least mostly live, and ooh, they're really getting surrounded there. Well, I'm building this base up here in the mountains, fortify myself with any coming disasters. But I needed to get better internet connection, had to work on that, and got that so that I could actually stream out for you. But 2 nights ago, this isn't about the internet connection. I hear someone out just outside of my window, moving stuff around. So I'm wondering, who is this? They've strayed onto my base. Somehow the alarms hadn't gone off. So I go out and to see who it is. Well, what do you know? It isn't a who, it's a what. And what's? Well, and I did sort of know that they were moving around the trash can, and it was a bunch of javelina. Yes, javelina. They're an American type of pig, and I had to look up some of the details. I knew what javelina were, but I did decide to look up some details after the encounter. They are an American pig, not descended from European pigs. So they're not technically pigs. I guess I should say they're not. They're not like a feral or European import. They are a natural animal here, and so somewhat diverged from that. And they're smallish for wild hogs, if you will, but they can be deadly. But so I was trying to chase them off a bit, not really hard, because I knew that they were sort of potentially rather dangerous. So just sort of good eating. I've not actually had javelina turn low, but I hear that they are. Years ago, one of my friends who I also worked with, the firearms industry, I think it was his uncle, had a hunting ranch, if you will, in which they stocked wild game on it. They would, it's semi-wild game, if you will. It's wild animals that were raised, not like in a farm situation, but just in large open areas that are fenced in to keep them in, if you will. And although that there were some being raised on where they were hunting, there was some land that was again fenced in, and they would buy the stuff and then charge hunters to come in and take it. And they definitely used to stock javelina, and yeah, they're sort of a pork-like animal tasting, I understand. And no, I didn't shoot them. Right now, there's several buildings, but unfortunately, all I had was one 1911, and I do mean a 1911, not 1911A1, with only 7 rounds in it. And yeah, even though I am up in the mountains in my secret mountain lair, it is technically within city limit. Now, if you're thinking some big urban sprawl situation, well, there's a little bit of that in this city here, but that's not right where I am. But it's still within city limits, and there's trees and there's rocks and rather wild stuff within city limits. So I was not necessarily just wanting to go boom boom in what is not truly the countryside in the legal sense. So yeah, I did not shoot them or something, but yeah, had an encounter with them up here. It was after dark, of course. But I invited them to leave, and they decided not to, and I decided not to push the issue. The fall of Shanghai. Okay. Well. Okay, we have some. Let's see. Building choices. We got. Yeah, I think more just mill factories here. Pushing that up to the max in that state, and it's just one more. Well, I think we want to get a lot of radios, because although it does not say we have a deficit of radios, but we've not been equipping any divisions with radios to have a deficit. So I think we will continue with that. So are we doing any good over here? Well, they just got Madrid surrounded. I know, obviously, we are battling some units that might be taken out to some other location, but I don't think that's doing enough good right now. Now, Barcelona might be the place for the Spanish capital to jump to if they lose Madrid. Okay, well, let's take a look here. We have Constantine van Rath, which helps us with political power, trade deal opinion, and daily opposition support. So, not that useful, actually. Or we can replace him with Joachim von Ribbentrop. Political power gain even greater, improves relations, opinion not. So, man, I don't know. I really want to do a minister's mod for this. I just got so much going on in my life right now. Building the secret base, worrying about some other stuff. It's taken a lot of time, so I don't know, because between the mod I did make for ministers way back when, don't ask for it, it wouldn't work with any version of Hearts of Iron 4 readily usable now. But it would be a starting place, along with dealing with some of the ministers from Hearts of Iron 3 and converting them. Wouldn't be that hard, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if more to take it on. Okay, what is Hussein Olivan? You advised me after I finished HOI 3 to try HOI 4. I played vanilla, but did not try Black Ice. I like... Okay. I like Hearts of Iron 4 better. Listen to me very carefully, everybody. I like Hearts of Iron 4 better than I like Hearts of Iron 3. I like Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice better than I like Hearts of Iron 4. Okay. So if you added Black Ice and some of the other submods, I know PRE isn't really working with the latest versions of Black Ice. Not necessarily pushing that right now. I like that better than I like Hearts of Iron 4. Hearts of Iron 4 Black Ice is getting very good. I don't know if I like it better than Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice. The reason I'm playing Hearts of Iron 4 Black Ice instead of 3 is I want to, before, and I hi Lawless if you're watching, I do know I have a bunch of fans there. Yes, Arno is in his delusional state. He's either thinking he's Batman or Iron Man or something like that. Let me zoom out and get tired of the repetitive battle noises. Is that I want to build out and install that is, I don't know if it would be the latest version of Black Ice, but a more modern version of Black Ice. Make sure TRE works with it, see about what I want to incorporate from some of the other sub mods in it, and have a, I'm not like swearing never ever, but more or less one last greatest version of Black Ice for Hearts of Iron 3 with mods, and then do a German playthrough, and also try to do a multiplayer playthrough with other people playing other major nations. I would really love to do that, but that just, and I've been wanting to do that for more than a year, but just things have been going on, and I just haven't built that out, so I haven't done it. I could just play Black Ice, Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice. But this is getting good. This is getting good. Hearts of Iron 4 Black Ice. I'd probably still like 3 a little better, but they're different games. And yeah, no kick or rumble today, Arno. So, I mean, there's just wonderful things in Hearts of Iron 4 Black Ice. A lot of it is in standard Hearts of Iron 4, but things like trains are in this. Things like you're producing things. I know I just said things twice, and a third time. As opposed to producing units, you are training units, but you're also producing rifles and tanks, and so there's a lot of really good. And the AI has gotten a lot better for Hearts of Iron 4, and the combat AI for Hearts of Iron 3 is not going to get any better. The supply problems in Hearts of Iron 3 aren't going to get any better. And although there are not supplies in Hearts of Iron 4, there are now with the trains, and I'm quibbling about how long it takes to build these supply hubs. Way too long, in my opinion. Way too long. But that does allow supply effects, because I have played a game pretty deep into the Soviet Union, and as we were getting out to Leningrad, Moscow, and didn't get to Stalingrad but Rostov on the Don, we were running into realistic supply concerns for the German army. So you no longer need a bunch of effects for invading the Soviet Union like Black Ice used to have for Hearts of Iron 3. You don't have the supply tax that supplies would come out to Berlin, and you'd lose 1% on each province it's going through. And then it would get out here, and then well, we don't need any supplies here. We'll send them back. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. We need supplies here now. Let's start sending supplies from Berlin to this new province, and never get there by the time you've moved on. So with here, these have become very strategic. I don't see a major problem. I'm not talking like pop up, 5 days and there's your supply dump, because we're talking about a supply dump not for a division really, but for cores or multiple cores, because we can look here, 36 divisions that these supply hubs would supply, and they're determined on how the trains are running, how big the train system is here. So yeah, and you could pop them up only along the rails to be effective. So yeah, it wouldn't be. It takes almost a year to build one of these things. So way too long. But, you know, I could see 40 days or even up to 60 days maybe to build a supply hub. So, where, you know, a trickle of supplies are going to come across this level 1 railway. So if this supply hub here gets cut off from this side and the Soviets are trying to supply it, it's going to trickle supplies through here. And if we make the leap and get Kharkov, but don't get this connected through to the south back to Germany, or Orel connected up here, we're just going to be trickling supplies through Kharkov, maybe up to Murmansk. So it would be this sort of supply levels. So yeah, I think it works very well. And so yeah, Hussein, I hope that's helpful. I know I rambled on about a lot of different aspects here, but and unfortunately it is not a clear yes, play this over the other, vice versa. It used to be for me, early stages of HOI IV, yeah, Black Ice was doing better. Okay, so political power gain, same ideology, opinion. Okay, I think yes, I think we will replace them with Konstantin van Rath. And although we don't really need the stability or the political power will be useful, we're just going to do with the historical. I know I've talked a lot about that, so we're not going to go on. Still debating whether we should come back and help assault the capital or deal with some of these other pockets. The Nationalists are doing okay. We'll let that continue. We'll just continue to push out here. Signal company, great. Okay, we are 38 now. There. Yeah, we'll do static AA. We need a lot more steel. So did we lose something that requires some steel? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, right now. Or do we just want to buy? No problem. Let's buy some iron. Yeah. Wait, okay, see, and guys, I'm not great at doing the math. Okay, so we are... Okay, we're getting... For one sieve factory, we're getting 32 iron. We would get 12 steel. Now we have 31 refineries, so we can do a lot of refineries. Takes up power. We're at 80. We're using 82% of our power here, capable. So we are not tapped out, but we do have a, you know, upper limitation here. I think it probably is better to do the importation of iron, but I'm not absolutely sure. Yes, okay, we'll do that. We'll let the day go by here. Let's take a look again. Okay, now we're actually at a positive of steel. So that's getting us a little better. There we go. Now, oil situation. I don't like that we're going down and we're not using a lot. I don't like that Romania is not, and I didn't try to snap it up at the first, but we should be getting more Romanian oil. I don't know who all their customers. Oh, well, yeah, we can just see here. Okay, well, Czechoslovakia and Poland will stop trading with Romania if we get rid of them as a country. If Romania comes to war with the French Republic or we take out France, they'll stop selling there. And the Swiss Confederation, well, yeah, okay. Let's add one more factory to there to try to make sure that we are. Well, now we're in a slightly positive realm. That's good. Okay. Those two are going to attack there to stop these guys. We're going to see if we can attack this way. Okay, 2 input of oil for 60 days. And improved tank. This is very good. Do 72, 60. Let's get the torsion bar going. Yeah, 3 rubber. Know about that. That's fine. Just looking through this. Added stability. We're going to keep going. Yeah, I know these guys are going to burn out fast. But yeah, we're probably not going to achieve our goal. Synthetic rubber refinery, yes. We want that. Hey, Rhaegar. Yes, very new economy, Rhaegar. System they've set up in Black Ice. Prevent starvation, water production, general stuff, oil and energy production. Stuff that Schultz has no clue how to do. Yeah. Yeah, the modern Germans don't know how to produce energy. That's true. Okay, power plant capacity, power plant construction speed. Chemical industry. Oh, liquefaction. General plastics. Lack of resource penalty down. Factory output up. Yeah, we like that. We'll do that. Yeah.
Achtung! Achtung!
Somehow the Republicans got Zaragoza. Okay, well,
Unter Beschuss!
we're going to head back that way. I think that was a partisan outbreak, but I don't like them in our rear like that. Just a second. Hold on. Okay, so we just got medical research as well. So, more ration productions. That's very good. Yeah, let's do both of these here. And that.
Bereit! Ausrücken!
And the Panzer IIIe chassis. Check technology. Okay, well. Improved submarine tactics. Read introduction doctrine. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, well they took back Zaragoza. I guess we're gonna do some city attacks.
Achtung!
Oh, well they just got Madrid. Okay. There we go. Okay, we're gonna do that. Alright, so our Spanish adventure is over. Yes, living in a yellow submarine. End of the Spanish Civil War, yep. And we need more. Alright. Where do we want to get it? From the Dutch? We'll get it from the Netherlands. And we can produce, well, we can build more factories, I should say. And I think Maybe it should be more energy. Yes, and well, ooh, yes. Fall of Nanjing finally happened. Right, okay, now. Those to do yet. Yeah. Need. Okay, synthetic rubber, very good. What does it say for radios right now? Radio equipment. Okay, so we are producing some here. Well, let's get some of our aircraft. Action. Except to the top. New power plant, 22 days. Modernization, Sonderkraft. Yeah, let's do that. I think that's going to help us out with other things as well. We're going to skip these guys. Well, let's do medium bombers there. Put a factory out east. Now, I'm not training any divisions right now. We could talk about whether I should be training divisions. I just don't know, because we do have the historical divisions plopping down, and I'm not saying that that would be enough, but when, well, you know, yeah, we have 13,000 spare infantry equipment, but almost 14, but that's not that big of a cushion, so I don't necessarily want to hugely spam out units without equipment for them. I don't like doing that. Hey, crippled by inflation. We know how that feels. As Rhaegar was talking about with Scholz, forget his first name, one of the German political leaders, forget his exact current ones. Inflation. There's basically only two causes to inflation. At least one of them can have many sub reasons, but and this is, hey, hello, HOI IV. How you doing? And this is a little bit of gamers lectures here on economy. The economy in, let's just say, in 1500 in Europe was pretty stable. And I'm just going to throw out a year date. Again, this is just commentary. No, you live in a submarine. Your house is underwater if you didn't do your whole dike thing there, Arno, and you know it. And let's just say 1550. Again, these dates aren't precise. There was massive inflation in Europe. Why? What had changed? Well, for the most part, in Europe, absolutely nothing. Everything was being made the same way, took the same amount of effort to make things. There wasn't really a significant shortage of anything compared to what it was 50 years earlier in just in 1500. But what happened between approximately 1550 or 1500 and 1550? Does anybody out there get the clues that I'm putting out as to what happened? Yes, you should be able to fish from your balcony. What happens in those 15 years or 50 years, or for sure somewhere by 1600? Does anybody know? IKB, and I was sort of counting on you, IKB, to know. Yes, and I would have to add gold and silver from the New World floods in. So, up until and through the 18th century, I do know the economy, because again, I've studied this in fairly significant detail. The economy up here was not a monetary-based economy, meaning money, primarily. It was bartering of goods. People would get, men primarily, but women would get silver coins and generally have them cast into buttons, and then they would sew them onto their clothing. Not just like random, like a huge extra buttons, like some waiter at some, diner or something that has lots of flair on it, but just they'd have silver buttons, and it was a way to keep track of their money. And if they really needed some silver money, not just copper money but silver money, they'd cut a button off and offer it to them as payment. But obviously you're not doing that multiple times a day or doing that often. It's just sort of if you need to. But much of Europe becomes even more, and so in 1500, because 1492 is maybe too big of a the New World. 1492 with Columbus, but it doesn't happen immediately with Columbus. It takes a few years for Pizarro and I forget some of the other conquistadors to come in and conquer Mexico and Peru and whatnot. So it takes a few years for the flood of gold and silver in. And so they're not producing any more wheat. And the expensive items, like spices, that Columbus is going to China to try to get, and to India to try to get the spices that, get them to Europe across the ocean instead of transporting them, across the, the Silk Road. Silk Road, that's the term I'm looking for. The Silk Road or whatever, coming across by caravans, and some of it coming via sea and through here. Trying to get another path to the east. Those spices are coming in at roughly the same amount. But now so many more people have so much more money to offer for the limited amount of goods, and there is no Silk Road thing. Yeah, I did get it, but thanks, IKB. If you're new around here, when I try to call up a proper name, whether it's like the Silk Road or a person's name, I can often picture it and know exactly what it is, but for some reason I'm mind blocked briefly on proper names of things. Um, so and sure, at one particular season or year, you may have, bad crops, either too much rain or too little rain or whatever. That's all happening as the normal flow of things, anyways. But there is no real great uptick in wars that are destroying everything. It's really just the massive inflood of money into, as coinage, and it's coming through the Habsburg Empire at the time, which at that time is still all of the, the Netherlands is, Belgium and the Netherlands, it's Spain, it's Austria, and it's other places as well too. This is, and of course, moving into the New World, this is the Habsburg Empire. We often, and at that point, it's really located centrally in Spain. Is where it's located, and not in Vienna. So you get this flood of money, and everything goes up just because there's more money. Things cost more because there's more money floating around it. So with the monetary practices of many Western governments through COVID was to pump, and there had been before COVID, pump money into the economies. And now with the war production and spending of large amounts of money, particularly have been in Ukraine, that's also inflationary, because war production is not something really, that people buy. Yes, their tax money goes to buying weapons and whatnot, but the average person doesn't. So the worker gets payments of, cash, but is there, what is he going to spend it on? So there's a lot more money being pumped into the system. So there's a lot of money being pumped into the system right now in the world is going on. So that drives up, that's inflationary just because not just the desire, the quote unquote demand for items goes up, but the flood of money it gets dumped into a system, and that increases inflation. The other reason inflation happens is because of cost of manufacturing or transportation. I mean, this is the one that can easily be broken down into many subcategories. The cost of goods goes up, and not just because there's more money in the system, so somebody wants to work less or not work as hard. No, it's physical cost of your items. And so the one thing that they're doing right now, all of the major world governments in the, shall we say, Western sphere, are making all of the costs go up because of energy. They are trying to import cheap labor from not the first world, whether all the other nations are third world nations or not could be argued, but trying to import cheap labor to keep some of the costs down. But energy costs are spiraling. Where I normally am, not in my secret base currently, but where I normally am in California, they have not approved a new power plant in forever. They have allowed some expansion to a few of the power plants. They've shut down the nuclear power plants, and we could debate whether they should or should not shut down the particular nuclear power plants, because when they're old technology, and other earthquake-related type reasons. Think Fukushima, but not really. There's two types of earthquakes. Generally, well, there's multiple types, but there's two big types. One in which plates, under the surface are rubbing against each other, and another one is where one plate goes over the top or under the other one. Okay? So, going over it. Well, if they're just going against each other, rubbing, I know we're talking a lot of subjects here, rubbing against each other, they just cause an earthquake that happens, If one is going down or coming up, and it's underwater, not if it's on land, but if it's underwater, that creates not just the earthquake, but the tidal wave that comes in. And that's what really did the real damage at Fukushima, was that tidal wave. And in California, we only have slip faults that are rubbing against each other. We don't have subduction faults or volcanic faults that are, an underwater volcano or something that either collapses or builds up that would create a tidal wave. So we don't have tidal waves here. So it wouldn't be the exact Fukushima situation, but it would be, earthquakes could be a problem. So, and they're also, so they're not adding more power plants. Technically you could say, they are, gamer. Yeah, some they're doing wind power plants. The others are, hey, everybody have a house, put a solar panel on it, and that could be considered a mini power plant, if you will. But they're not doing big, efficient power plants, shall we say. And this is a government policy. This is not a supply and demand policy, because if you remember back, Obama was saying, you can have a coal power plant if you want, but we're going to make it too expensive to run, so you'll decide to shut it down. We won't force you to shut it down by passing a law. We will just add on regulations that will shoot up the cost of running your coal power plant. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm getting the correct sentiment if I'm not getting the quote correct, and I know I'm not getting the quote correct. So this is a government policy that has not substantially changed. And I know this is also going on in your European countries that are watching. Well, they've also added a lot of additional regulations. We could talk about, maybe some of them are actually good and should happen, but a lot of additional regulations to coal mining as well as the coal plants. So some of the coal plants coal mining has shut down, actual mines. Others haven't. Well, why, gamer? If coal power plants you're not going to build more coal power plants, and you're shutting down coal power plants because of additional regulations, because all these things are marginal in profitability anyways, and if they throw on a few regulations that require you to, in essence, rebuild your power plant, and you're going to take 20 years to then see a profit from your rebuilt power plant, and who the hell knows in the next 10 years what other additional regulations you may make. So you're just dumping, money into a hole that you're never going to get profitable. So, why would they still be pumping out so much coal? China. America is now exporting huge amounts of coal to China for their coal power plants that are dirtier than what they were prior to Obama coming into power in the United States. I don't know how much dirtier than they were, say, during the Bush administration or the Carter administration. I don't have all those technical details. But they're definitely dirtier than the Obama, pre-Obama stuff, because I've had friends that living in Beijing, not currently, but, just back in 2021 or 2022 or So Americans living in Beijing talking about the pollution levels coming in and whatnot. So these may be more like 1950s, or they may be like 19th century level pollution coal power plants. I don't know. So if you're really worried about greenhouse gases, well, why don't you, and I get the idea, clean your own backyard up before you worry about other people's backyards. So you get your ducks in the line before you start waving fingers at others. I get that point. But if you're really worried about it, why don't you, shut down exportations of coal to China? Well, maybe now that I'm saying this, they'll think about doing it, but they're not. So they really don't care about greenhouse gases. It's just their policy is to make energy more scarce, more expensive, whether it's oil, whether it's coal. And IKB did say wind and solar are not reliable. True. They are very useful in several factors, wind and solar. They are useful for decentralization of power and for power in, shall we say, more remote locations. So that, if you're building a secret mountain base and you have some solar panels or a windmill that you can put up, with a generator, you don't have to be on a big electric grid. Or even if you are part of the electric grid, because much of America, including in rural America, has, significant electrical grid connectivities. If the central power goes down just because there's a power outage and you got solar or you got wind, hey, you still got power. So, it's not a should not do. It's just should not, on a large scale, rely upon it. And even if you have enough solar panels on your house to provide all the electricity you need in both summer and winter, summer I'm particularly thinking, air conditioning plus your computer plus all your electronic appliances all using power all at once, even if you have enough to power that all the time and maybe actually giving power back to the power company, I'd still want to be connected to the power system just in case something is going wrong. So it's not a technologies that I am against. I am just thinking they shouldn't rely upon it. Coal is infinite, or coal is finite, he's saying. Yeah, in a practical, yeah, coal is finite, but I don't think we're seeing anywhere near the end of it. And he says atoms are forever. Well, our fission, not fusion, fission atoms are also finite because of our fuel situation. I don't know how much fuel we can generate. Uranium and plutonium and whatever other oniums that are used in power plants. Now, if we can crack, and this is where I want to go, and I know all this, everyone else thinks it may be science fiction, but a fusion power plant, and we're getting closer and closer, then that is sort of infinite power. There is one other power source that, again, it needs something of a technical breakthrough to make it feasible, is hydrogen. Because my understanding is, and I'm not well versed on it, but my understanding is the amount of energy it takes to separate the hydrogen from the oxygen in water molecules, you do not, and then burning the hydrogen and oxygen, you do not get a net benefit out of energy currently, meaning it's either equal to or takes more energy in the separation than you will later on using it. But hydrogen, if we can crack that, is, yeah, technically it's finite, but practically it's infinite amount of hydrogen out here that we could burn it. Oh, what would be? Yeah, let's go. What would be 10 centimeters of ocean water volume taken away from the surface of the ocean? How much volume of hydrogen would you get and all of that. And hey, that'll deal with any global warming ocean rise problem because we'll just burn up the ocean, as it were. So yeah, we should be looking at using more. I'm an advocate for more power usages, not less. But they are working by policy to make energy rarer and more expensive. And then those two things, well, rarer does make it more expensive, but make it more by adding regulations. They're making energy cost more to make. And by doing that and some of their policies, they're also like shutting down coal plants or not using coal energy. They're making it rarer to get energy. So that's going to drive up the cost of things, because whether it's moving your cars being around truck, rail, or ships, your products around, or your food, or just keeping the lights on in a farm building or something like that, that's all just driving up energy costs. To everything costs, everything out there has an energy cost, because even if it's just a human doing something, again, there's going to be lighting or other electric uses around them potentially. I mean, yeah, maybe it's a cold enough place that you don't need air conditioning even in summer, but your energy is going to be your heating, whether it's wood or a coal burning fire or something, because it's going to get cold enough, so anywhere you're producing, anything you're producing, it needs some level of energy, including energy to, say, feed, getting the food to the person, or moving some of the products around. So fusion has been 20 years away for 60 years now. Yeah, I know IKB, but I have been watching some videos in the last 6 months or so, how they are actually making sort of fusion work more than a brief, millisecond. So it is getting closer. Hello, Stokes Poppy. Sorry, I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce that, but back to you. So thanks for being here. So yeah, their policies, instead of having abundant energy, they're trying to ration energy, trying to consume less energy. And so that's those two things, pumping in lots of extra money into the system and making energy costs go up, is what is creating our inflation. Well, very good. I love having people here live. So if you want to ask questions either about what we're talking about now or something else that you might not normally be able to ask, live, or when I'm not live, please do so. So yeah, energy, and inflation, and we just again got on this topic because I saw the thing pop up about France, that inflationary situations, and I really don't know about France's inflation, why it was happening then in 1938. Germany's inflation back earlier, not at pre-Hitler, was a product of the post-World War setup, in which you had huge reparations, maybe well-deserved, but huge reparations put on Germany. And they needed not, Deutschmarks or whatever. They needed money to pay these. So America, collectively, had lots of money left over from making money in World War I, selling food, because a lot of the farmers in places like France or Russia or wherever that might have been producing excess food were being soldiers. So America was producing huge amounts of food, and that was the first depression that happened in the 20s. Was all these farmers during World War I were making huge amounts of money, so they took out loans, mostly on a smart reason, to buy farm equipment and something, to improve their stuff, or maybe buy more farms, or more farmland, or whatever it was, taking out loans. And when the market, two elements: one, the end of World War I, and two, the pandemics happened, the market for their food collapsed, so they couldn't keep paying for their farm equipment. That created a brief but very heavy depression, brief one, and then there was the later one that happened that was the Great Depression. But America, banking and big systems, also selling armaments to everybody, including the U.S. government, but to everybody else. So they were, flush with cash, and they bankrolled Germany's reparations, in that they gave their dollars, pounds, whatever, to Germany in loans, not give, but loan them, to then pay off France and Britain, and maybe America too, with the idea that over time, not immediately, but over time, they would be repaying these loans. And that is, in essence, the how Germany ends up economically collapsing in trying to deal with paying off these loans, keeping the system going and flooding in. It becomes hyperinflation. Is that internally, the internal economics are affected by this, and instead of like, oh, hey, the government needs to pay out X amount of money, well, we'll just print more money. So they just dump money into the German economy, and that's what causes the sort of economic collapse that goes on in Germany and other places. I don't know specifically. By 1938, America is sort of a little bit digging its way out of the Great Depression. It really, there's a lot of economists, and I'm not a deep economist on the stuff, but reading around, it's starting to dig itself out at this time, but it's really once, 1940 happens and Europe is at war. That's when America really starts to come out of the Depression. Again, it was sort of heading that way anyways, but the war really accelerates it, in that they can now, small airplane companies can now hire a lot of people because they're going to sell airplanes to Europe or other things like that. So there's a lot of reason for that happening. But we're going to end on this economics lesson. And if I get something wrong, please, post below. Marcel, sort of he did. FDR, he said, made the Depression worse. FDR's policies, in short, did two things. One, unlike the earlier one under, I think it was Coolidge, that was brutal but brief, FDR's policies made the Depression softer for the average person. Because the Depression, and I'm getting more history, also happens at the same time of a Dust Bowl, using European farming technique in the American sort of west of the Mississippi, the Great Plains, deep plowing, without certain other elements to it, created the Dust Bowl. And that also contributes to the Depression as well. But FDR, well, I don't know that he was a Stalin lover, but he was a big government lover and whatnot. We can talk about some of the stuff. I don't think he loved Stalin. I don't think he loved Stalin. But he was definitely a progressive, absolutely. But what he does is he makes it, sets up the elements of the welfare state for America. And so he cushions it for the average American, for the people who are out of work. So it's not as brutal a depression for the American people, but he definitely extends the length of the depression. So I think it would have been more brutal, but much shorter, I think. And we can talk, and people who know a lot more than me could talk about it in more detail and debate the issues. But I think it could have been more brutal for the workers, but shorter, and get out of it. And I'd have to look at some of the international elements to really know that. But he's definitely doing a lot of stuff to make it last longer, just by adding all the policies that he was doing. So yeah, okay. So everyone, thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate it. See you next time for more. Yes, even more Hearts of Iron. And